Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and hello, Adam Lang.
Good morning, Michael.
Adam, on weekdays, it's all about the Fast 5, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, we, of course, still keep it to 5 minutes. It wouldn't be the Fast 5 if we didn't. But we're going to pick out the biggest story of the week, the most remarkable story, a sleeper story, one that's probably worth keeping an eye on, and our favourite story as well. Let's jump into it. I'm going to nominate for the biggest story this week a major milestone. That is that Australian house prices have fully recovered from their tumble post-COVID. They're now back at record levels. Now, keep in mind, some economists were tipping a massive fall up to 20%. And instead, according to CoreLogic's Home Value Index, prices fell just 7.5%. They bottomed out in late January this year. Since then, what a recovery. That same index that fell 7.5% has now risen 8.1%, taking us back into record territory. Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane leading the way. Sydney and Melbourne still have a bit to go. That supply remains low. Demand is consistent. Next year, who knows what's going to happen? CoreLogic says the pace of growth is easing. SQM Research, though, says that prices are going to fall again next year. 1% across the country, 4%, the worst in Sydney. There you go. Who knows? Interest rates have been rising. We've got a peak in migration growth. Unemployment starting to creep up maybe towards 5% next year. It is the biggest story this week. What did you think, Adam?
Well, Michael, my nomination for biggest story of the week is cybercrime and the new legislation to fight the good fight. This week, we reported that Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neil announced a new cybersecurity strategy, including support for small and medium-sized businesses, building public awareness, fighting cybercrime, breaking the ransomware business model, and strengthening identity security. On top of the $2.3 billion committed by the Morrison government, spending on cybersecurity will be boosted by $587 million by 2030. 6 cyber shields will be created to protect businesses and citizens. There will be rules to force businesses to report when they have been hacked, a plan to ban businesses from paying ransom to hackers, and the creation of a board to learn lessons from major attacks.
Yeah, 2 big stories this week. Most remarkable, what was yours?
Okay, Optus outage ousts a CEO, Michael. Following the massive Optus telecommunications outage on Wednesday, 8 November, CEO Kelly Bayer-Rosmarin fronted a grueling Senate inquiry on Friday, the 17th of November, and last Monday, parent company Singtel announced her resignation. It has been an excruciating 2 weeks for Optus, and criticism seemed to compound on this outage with the fallout from the customer data cybersecurity leak just over 1 year ago. The way Optus handled communications to customers in both situations has been heavily criticised. Now, following the resignation on Monday, Chief Financial Officer Michael Ventnor will become interim CEO. Peter Kaliaropoulos has been appointed Chief Operations Officer, and alongside former New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian, all 3 could be contenders in the global search for the top job. On Thursday, long-standing Optus chairman Paul O'Sullivan issued his first personal apology for the outage, saying, "We're sorry, we let you down, but we understand the important role we fulfill, and we hope by the way we recover that we can rebuild your confidence in us."
Yeah, that is remarkable. My most remarkable story also involves the exit of a CEO. I'm talking about Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, the company behind the artificial intelligence platform ChatGPT. So he was booted out. The board made the decision. Microsoft, though, which has invested something like $13 or $14 billion in OpenAI, probably would think that it's entitled to a bit of a say in what goes on. They didn't actually know about it. They weren't happy. Then there was talk of Sam Altman going to Microsoft to run a new artificial intelligence unit at the company. Looked like it was going to be the way it played out. OpenAI even went and appointed a new CEO, but then nearly all of OpenAI's 750 staff threatened to quit if Sam Altman didn't come back, and so he was reappointed. A few changes, obviously, at the board level, as you can imagine would be. Now, the reason, though, that he left is all a little bit of a mystery, and there are all kinds of reports, and this one I think is pretty alarming. It was a report run by Reuters that staff had raised concerns with the board about new technology called Q-Star, that this is a breakthrough, apparently, in the search for super intelligence, something called artificial general intelligence, the kind of intelligence that experts are really worried about, essentially AI systems that are smarter than humans. This is a story that still has a bit to play out, and there's going to be some, I suspect, some pretty significant revelations in coming days and weeks.
Yes, Michael, that is totally remarkable. My nomination for Sleeper Story of the Week is Population Growth Prompts a Reform Crisis. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics data released this week, our population could rise to between 34 and 46 million by 2071. Now, these numbers are projections based on the expected migration intake, government policy, births and deaths, so they could vary greatly over the coming 48 years. Without immigration, Australia's population would actually start to decline due to deaths outpacing births. And even with immigration, the nation is rapidly ageing, with a proportion of those over 65 projected to rise from 17 to 25% over this time horizon. There are two massive sleeping components to this important story. We don't have the infrastructure and we can't afford it. Michael.
Yeah, I love that sleeper story, Adam. Just the scale of it is just huge. Now, very quickly, favourite story of the week. What did you like?
Okay, the Media Business Masterclass by ARN. So in October, ARN launched a bid to acquire its competitor SCA alongside private equity firm Anchorage Capital. And this week, ARN announced the biggest media deal in Australia's history to secure the winning Sydney breakfast duo of Kyle Sandilands and Jackie Henderson to a 10-year, $200 million deal, and that includes them broadcasting into Melbourne as well. They also secured a key Melbourne breakfast talent, ex-UK star Christian O'Connell, for another 5 years. So ARN has now locked in key talent in the two biggest markets in commercial radio, and in my view, their bid for SCA just got stronger. There is plenty left to go in this story. It may not be checkmate, but these are bold, masterful business moves made to grow and win, and my nomination for favourite story of the week.
Yeah, that is a fantastic business story. Very, very quickly, just an honourable mention to a development out of the US, a NASDAQ-listed company called Safety Shot. It's bringing to market a drink that apparently reverses the effects of drinking alcohol using vitamins, minerals, and something called nootropics to reverse intoxication. It's designed to help reduce alcohol poisoning, so it's got a medical side to it. It's going to need FDA approval and TGA approval here, but obviously there is a very large recreational benefit, I suspect, to this as well. They're talking about it being a major disruption in the drink market. I think it's just a fun, quite exciting story, that one.
I'll give Safety Shot a shot, Michael.
Oh, well said. All right, there we go. 5 minutes and pretty much everything you need to know in the world of business. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Michael.
We'll be back on Monday morning with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Don't forget to hit follow and join us online on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook and X. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed.